2 cylinders on the back of the resuscitaire. There's an oxygen and a medical air cylinder. To turn those on, it's anti-clockwise. 1 turn of the key is enough to turn your cylinder on. If there's only 1 gas going through it, your resuscitaire will alarm to tell you that there is only 1 gas going through it. So I'm going to turn these cylinders back off, so that's 1 turn clockwise. I want to talk about the
Okay. Is that the alarm noise that it would make?
That is the alarm to say that there was only gas. They're both now, the gas is drained from the system. I'm going to plug the oxygen back into the wall, so it will alarm to say that we only have an oxygen pipeline, so it will alarm. And give that a pull to make sure it's securely attached to the wall. I'll turn that off and cylinders should be fastened on a clip to make sure they don't move about if you need to move the resuscitaire, because that will damage the pin index, which I'll show you now. So undo your clip, unfasten your bolt and lift the cylinder off. Cylinders have pin indexes to ensure that you don't hook the wrong cylinder up to the wrong port. They should also have a Bordeaux seal on, which does perish with age and become hardened. The Bordeaux seal is a brass ring with a rubber centre, so that does harden with age. So occasionally if your cylinders hiss, it's either that the cylinder is not being hooked up correctly or that your Bordeaux seal needs replacing. Those can be found in the HDU cupboard. So I'm going to put the Bordeaux seal back on. And this is the pin index. They're all configured slightly different depending on what cylinder you're putting on, and that should only fit onto that pin. So make sure it's lined up and it slips onto the pin, and make sure your cylinder is tightened up properly. Turn the cylinder on again just to make sure that you've got a good seal and it doesn't hiss. And fasten your strap round again to make sure it's secure. So both cylinders are now turned off and the oxygen pipeline is plugged in. The lines that we use are single use. The masks are not single use. The masks are £11 each. These go back to B Braun. Make sure they're in a marked bag with a B Braun sticker or a supplementary label to make sure they come back to us and not sent to special care. So that's your basic check for the top of the Resus, and I've turned it back off. The top is movable, so if you have got a baby that's in skin to skin but that is cold, it's possible to move your resuscitaire across to your mum and position the heater so it's over the baby. Make sure it's back in a locked position. Make sure all the top is clean. It should be washed. All your things on it should be clean and again replaced if not complete.
That lead, Carol, that you've got in your hand is not disposable.
This is not disposable. These leads are £150 each. That's your temperature probe for your baby. So when you're plugging them in, groove uppermost, and when you're taking them out, don't pull the wire, pull the grey rubber round the top, otherwise you're going to damage your lead. Make sure those are cleaned and placed back into your tray in your drawer. So that's your top main check for all resuscitaires. As we go down, you have a suction canister on the side. Make sure you've got a suction attached to it. the appropriately sized Yanker suction catheter.
And how often do we change the suction canister at the bottom?
If the filters should be changed, if they're discoloured at all, the filter should be changed, and those can be found in the HDU cupboard on the right hand side. The suction canister, if it's used, there's any discoloration at all, it should be changed. So if you've used it for a meconium aspirate baby and you've got any substance in there, it should be changed, as should your line. Your suction, your yanker should be changed after every use. And make sure it's easy to find, it's coiled up and easy to find and firmly attached. The suction will not work without the suction jar. You must have a liner in a jar, otherwise you will not get any suction. And the suction jars are not disposable. Come to the drawer. On the front of the resuscitaire there is a contents list that will tell you exactly what should be in your drawer. It should all be in date. Everything that we use has got an out of date on, so always check your out of dates. Make sure it's all clean and try and keep all the drawers the same, so it's easy to locate equipment if you're directing somebody where to find things. So when I'm checking them, I take everything out. So the first thing I check is a blue box. You have got 2 gastric syringes in. If you put a nasogastric tube in your baby you want to aspirate, you need 2 purple syringes which will fit onto the purple end of a feeding tube. You should have a spare laryngoscope, which should have, and some spare batteries for the laryngoscope, and spare blades. These are the blades are single use. The laryngoscope handle is not single use. Those should be washed and replaced after use. The blades can be found in the HDU cupboard, and make sure there's 2 in each. You've got a pair of scissors in there, a single use scissors. Those I always put down the side of the blue box. You have 2 feeding tubes, always 2. If you drop one, you've always got a spare to be able to use. Again, they've got an out of date on the back, so make sure they're replaced accordingly. These are almost out of date. 3 airways. Airways are very rarely used, but if they're struggling to inflate a baby's lungs, they may well put an airway in. So you've got a 0, a 00, a 000. Again, they've got an out of date. Check your dates on them. Again, these can be found in the HDU cupboard in a box on the right hand side. You should have 2 small 0 masks and 2 1 mask. 1 should be on your T-piece, 1 should be in your drawer. That's all. These are the packets that they should go back in with the appropriate label. You need 2 Yanker suctions. Again, check the dates, make sure they're in date. And 2 number 10 suction catheters. Checking the dates again. You have a 2.5, a 3, a 3.5 and a 4 ET tube. The same that is on the shelf on the outside of your resuscitaire. So if the packet, make sure they're in date, and if the packet is damaged or discoloured in any way, get rid of it and change it. These are single use. In your tray at the top, you've got an ET tube introducer, a stilette. Again, check that it's a baby one, not an adult one, and make sure that they're in date, and there should be 2 or 3 in there. Again, allow for dropping on the floor, so you've got a spare. And a McGill's forceps, which is to help introduce your ET tube if you're struggling to get it down. These will have an out of date. They go back to bee brawn. They're not single use. They go back to bee brawn for re-sterilising. You've got a few adhesive discs that will attach your baby suction, your baby temperature probe. There's a couple of hats. If your baby's premature and you haven't got a sterile bag to put it in, a placenta bag is what we may use to put a small baby in if it's delivered in a room. And make sure it's all clean and all put back. On the outside, you've got a stethoscope. Make sure again it's clean and that it's always there. There's a drug box, neonatal drug tray on the bottom. Make sure your drug tray is in date and that the seal around it is intact. If it's not in date, they go back to DSU, pharmacy DSU, and they will replace them. If your seal is broken at all, just send it back. It may be the one drug that you need to use that's been used. It may not have been used at all, but always the seal should always be intact. And that's it.
Could you just show us how to check a laryngoscope, Carol?
Certainly can. So your laryngoscope blade is hooked onto the bar. Your light should be nice and bright, and your blade should be clean, as they are single use. And they both should have batteries in.
Thank you, Carol. I think that concludes the top to toe checking of a resuscitaire. Thank you very much.